Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. Listen, if you're out there running a trades business, maybe you're a custom home builder, a high-end landscaper, or a specialized contractor, and you want to consistently win those premium six-figure contracts, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're completely breaking down the art and science of the high-end proposal. We're going to totally rethink how you present your work so you aren't just slapping a price tag in front of a client, but you're actually giving them a tool that helps them choose you. Okay, let's just address the elephant in the room right off the bat, shall we? We have all experienced this exact pain point. You walk the property, you totally hit it off with the homeowner, you know for a fact your crew can execute that luxury renovation flawlessly, and then the client just gets cold feet. They hesitate. Worse, they ghost you. Why in the world does a massive project slip away purely because the client got nervous, even when your competence is obvious? Well, as we're going to see, the answer usually lies right there in the paperwork you handed them.
Okay, let's dive into this. We have a very specific blueprint for fixing your proposal process step by step. We'll hit the trap, the psychology, the translation, the blueprint, and finally the delivery.
All right, step 1, the trap. Quotes versus proposals.
Man, there is seriously nothing more frustrating than doing all that heavy lifting on site. Answering a million questions, showing off your past work, building genuine trust, only to lose the bid because you went back to the office and emailed over a standard, boring estimate. The distinction between these three terms is absolutely vital. An estimate simply says, hey, here's roughly what this might cost. A quote says, here's our exact price for the scope. But a premium buyer, they require a true proposal. And a proposal says, here's the vision, our recommendation, and the investment required. High-end clients don't just need a number, they need a decision-making tool. To create that tool, we move right along to step 2. The psychology, the premium buyer's mind. Look, we've got to totally step out of our logical contractor brains for a second here and step right into the emotional, risk-averse mindset of a client who is about to drop hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have to realize this one crucial point. Premium buyers are not just price sensitive. They are consequence sensitive. When a homeowner looks at a massive six-figure project, they are fearing the consequences of a bad decision way, way more than the actual dollar amount. They're terrified of the regret of hiring the wrong crew. They're dreading the chaos and disruption to their family's routine. They're worried sick about the embarrassment of a project that ends up looking cheap. Your proposal has to reduce that perceived risk.
Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is the stark contrast between how we think and how the buyer thinks. As contractors, we naturally organize our proposals by how we build the job, right? Excavation, base prep, materials, labor, subtrades. But the buyer isn't experiencing the build yet. They are experiencing the decision. They're sitting there asking themselves, do they actually understand us? How disruptive is this going to be? What could go wrong? Your proposal absolutely must be organized around answering their questions, not just listing out your costs.
Which brings us nicely to step 3, the translation. Translating scope into vision.
This is where we actually learn to decode our trade speak into client speak. You have to translate what the client practically requested into the emotional experience they are actually trying to buy. A basic quote says, install 200 linear feet of drainage pipe with granular backfill. Now, to a homeowner, that's just an expensive, boring piece of plastic. But a premium proposal, it translates that task into a goal. Drainage improvements to move water away and protect the long-term finish of the main patio. Boom. That is an absolute aha moment. You aren't selling a pipe. You are selling protection for their beautiful, expensive new patio. Let's look at another one. Say a client tells you they want something high-end but not flashy. You don't write down, you want people to know this was expensive. No way. You write a beautifully restrained sentence like, the material selections are intended to create a timeless, refined look that fits the quality of the home. That shows incredible judgment. It literally proves to the client that you truly understood the assignment. So how do we actually put this all together? Let's get into the mechanics with step 4, the blueprint, building a high-end proposal. A huge mistake we see contractors make all the time is the dreaded data dump, giving a line item pricing for every single screw, plant, and disposal fee. When you provide supplier-level pricing, you are basically begging the client to dismantle your project piece by piece just to save a few bucks. Instead, group the work by logical phases. This gives them client-level transparency, so they know exactly what's included, but it keeps their focus entirely on the big-picture decision, not on fighting you over a $200 equipment charge. A real game changer for giving them context without the overwhelm is the 3-option strategy. You present a refined scope, your recommended scope, and an enhanced scope.
Think about it. When a client only sees one number, they have absolutely no context. But 3 options? That gives them a sense of control over the trade-offs, which makes pulling the trigger and making a decision feel so much more manageable. But listen, we need to be crystal clear about that first option, the refined scope. This option is simpler, sure, but it should never ever be cheap. It simply offers fewer features. Maybe you delay building the outdoor kitchen or you simplify the planting package. But you never cut corners on your base prep, your waterproofing, or your structural work just to hit a lower number. Reduce the scope, absolutely, but keep your standards high. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. 3 options? There is no way I have time to do 3 full design packages. Well, good news. You don't have to. Here's a crucial tip that's going to save you massive amounts of unpaid design work. You fully develop the recommended option, option 2. For the refined and enhanced options, you literally just use written scope adjustments, allowance changes, or even inspiration images to explain the differences. Okay, so right into that recommended scope, you absolutely must pack your risk reducers. Remember, high-end clients worry about the stuff they don't say out loud. So proactively tell them how you're going to handle things. Hit these fast. Project communication, exactly how you'll guarantee site protection so their driveway isn't destroyed, a realistic schedule and phasing plan, and clear details on your warranty and aftercare. Hitting these points fast and early actively neutralizes all those unspoken anxieties.
All right, we've made it to the final stage. Step 5, the delivery, presenting to win.
You've built this amazing blueprint, but here is the absolute golden rule for handing it over as a professional tool. Do not, and I mean do not, just email the PDF and hope it magically sells itself. If you email a proposal for a $150,000 project, the client is going to sit there alone, scroll right past your beautiful vision statement, and jump straight to the final price tag on the very last page. You completely lose control of the narrative. You have to present it.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact sequence you need to follow to win, whether you're sitting at their kitchen table or on a video call. First, remind them of their goals. Second, explain exactly why you chose your recommended direction. Third, walk them through the major scope. Fourth, show them the options so they see the context. And only then, step 5, do you explain the investment? You make sure they fully understand the value before they ever see the cost. And then, right after you drop that investment number, you just stop talking. Seriously, this is so absolutely crucial. Do not rush to fill the silence just because you feel a little awkward. Present the investment calmly and then give them room to process. High-end buyers are allowed to think. Filling that quiet space with nervous chatter only weakens your pitch. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge to chew on. When you send out your very next bid, is your proposal just going to be a fancy price tag? Or is it going to be a carefully crafted tool that actively helps a premium client feel safe, understood, and totally ready to choose you? Shift your mindset from just pricing jobs to actually proving you understand the assignment, and watch how quickly your close rate completely transforms. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Now get out there and win those premium clients.